Hey everyone, it's time for Old Roommates. This week on the show, we revisit Backdraft with Kurt Russell and William Baldwin. So grab your hose and listen in.
It's a family show, Christina.
I don't know what hose you're talking about. You just put it right down there in the gutter, as usual.
Actually, I think every episode we have is explicit. Because
100%, without even thinking, I just click explicit. I think the one show that doesn't have that is...
Beetlejuice. Because you wanted to show Emily.
It was Beetlejuice. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So, welcome everyone to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And today we are reviewing Backdraft, the 1991 blockbuster. This was a big movie. So, Christina, as we always do, we first talk about Then, which is the first time we saw it, and then later we'll talk about our rewatch. Yeah. So how did it go? Well, 1991, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I remember it was in the movies, and which I'm so happy about. This is one of those movies that really have an impact in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who I was with. I remember it not being a movie that I was really... Like, it wouldn't have been my choice to go. But I walked out of that movie theater, and I was floored. I was so... impressed with it, and the fire, and the fire to me was so interesting how they made it a character, and I was just super impressed, and I just wanted to hug every firefighter I met.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it. It surprised me how much I liked it.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
And you?
Oh, thank you for asking. I also saw it in the movie theater. I want to say I saw it with... I feel like I saw everything with Julie McDonald back then. And I also remember really liking it. It was, I think... Oh, God, I hope I'm not wrong with this. I think it was the same month or even week when, Dick Tracy came out. And I remember it because they were both, it felt like an event movie.
Yes.
This is the quintessential, firefighter movie, and where it dives right into their lives and what it's like to be... And I remember being really blown away by the actually, some are special effects. There's a lot of it is real fire. But I remember, I think from a more of a technical perspective, I was really excited by it. I think there is, we talked a little bit about this with Point Break, that testosterone-y thing that as a gay guy is sometimes a little lost on me, that brotherhood, the unspoken
the brotherhood, yes.
And I remember even in 91, that feeling a little heavy. So I was interested to, when we talked about revisiting this, I was like, oh, that's a long movie. But I also remember, you know what, it'll be good to give it another chance because I'm older now, and... Sure.
Looking through middle-aged lens. Which is why we even do it in the first place,
Which is probably, I think, I gotta be older right now than the characters in this movie.
Probably. I think that happens pretty often here. It's not that difficult to do,
That's
especially
true.
for a woman.
Oh,
yeah. Women aren't cast as older women anyway.
That's true.
Unless you're a grandmother.
So let's dive into... So both positive feelings about this movie.
Yes.
Let's dive into now. So you rewatched this when?
It was a few weeks ago. It was one of the first, it was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
It was, yeah. So, and I watched it with Matt, because he had never seen it before.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I wanted, and sometimes it's difficult because of the timing, because we all live busy lives, and sometimes it's a little easier, especially if it's a rated R movie, which I don't forget. Was this R?
This is R.
Yeah, it must have been. I don't want Emily to be around, so sometimes it's a little easier to do it on a Saturday morning when they're out or whatever. So I always ask Matt if he wants to watch. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and this time it did. And I think, actually, now I'm talking. I'm like, Jesus Christ, did he even watch it with me? Now I'm not even sure if he did. Oh my gosh, forget it. Scratch all that. Anyway, so the version that I got was actually like a 25th anniversary copy.
The 2006. That's
did
the
you
one
get
I
that
watched.
one too?
Yeah, from the library.
So, did you see the forward?
By Ron Howard. Yes. Yeah.
So I don't think I watched the whole thing.
Christina, it's like...
I know. I didn't know how long it was, but I watched some of it. But I remember it being like, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Matt definitely wasn't with me because I remember it's like a 2 hour and 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, all right, I need to watch some of this.
Yeah.
And then watch it and the rest of it another time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a really nice day out. I had to do a yard work or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something going on.
Yeah.
My memory is really something. But anyway, so when he popped up, I'm like, well, this is really lovely, but I'm on a little bit of a time crunch. So I watched some of it, but I didn't watch all of it. And I just like kind of skipped through and said, okay, let's do this movie. So, what I was going to say is you saw the same thing.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
And it was really interesting about the fire, about the digital part of the fire.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So, yes, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Again,
I took notes on that
thing.
because I wrote Ron Howard introduction. I have a little not paragraph, but like 2 sentences of that very thing.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So that they were originally going to do it digitally. It was the very beginning, kind of the start of digital processing.
CGI, computer generated.
CGI, yeah, that sort of thing. And they wanted to use that for the fire, but Ron Howard watched it and said, this is horrible. It doesn't look good.
Test audiences.
Oh, and the test audiences
the test
did too.
audiences said, quote, it looks fake. So they were 6 weeks away from wrapping this thing up.
Yes.
At least they thought they were. Because they got all the preview audiences were like, oh my gosh, the fire looks so fake. Mm-hmm. So he ran back to their special effects guy and their stunt guy and all these other people and like, it has to be real fire.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but it has to be real. And they had a lot of fast work to do.
Yeah. But so impressive, right? So not only because it's real, but also because they did it in such a small time frame.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing.
It looks amazing. There are some challenges, so I did a little bit of research because I was like, here's why. So if you do rent this, we're talking about the 2006 edition. There's like a 10-minute intro from Ron Howard, and he talks about the fire, as we're saying. So but he also talks about the firefighters and how much this movie meant to them.
Yes.
And he's like, I can't walk by a firehouse without the firemen, running up to me and thanking me for Backdraft. I'm like, sure. So this is great, and it's great. And
it has nothing to do with him being a celebrity.
Right. If they're not saying, hey, Richie Cunningham,
right.
Sure. So, but I understand. It's like to have a movie made about your specific career, like the line of work you're in, that's really a moment, and it's very heavy in that world. So, but I did a little research because I'm like, is that how firefighters think? Like, do firefighters think of exactly what you said, that fire is a creature, if you will, that's like, ooh, the animal, and ooh, did the fire look at you? And there's a lot of that in this movie, and to be honest and cut into the chase a little bit, I didn't like that stuff.
Interesting.
And I'm like, it worked, I think, a little better when I was younger, but just because it felt so heavy-handed, because what you realize is the people saying it are either crazy or they've been doing it for so long that maybe there is a bit of some mental psychosis thinking that the fire is a creature, or they have to look at it like a creature. And actually, Kurt Russell at one point says, let's hit this bitch head on. I mean, they talk about the fire as a creature, like a monster.
Person. But what's interesting that you say that, because I remember when I really loved that part of it when I saw it.
Yeah.
My first, whenever it was, 1991 or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I watched it this time, I was looking forward to that part, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of that this time around. I didn't think, for some reason, my memory of it felt like there was a lot more back then. But I also didn't remember a lot of the other plot lines. So clearly that had a big influence on me back then.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about fire until I saw this movie.
Yeah.
And so it clearly had a big influence on me. And then watching it this time, I'm like, oh wow, there's actually a lot more story. I mean, I remember the main storyline.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the relationship between the two brothers.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the other stuff, oh yeah, there's a lot more going on here that I wasn't really remembering that much of. It was really all about the fire. So I thought there was less about the looking at and the breathing fire thing when I watched it this time around. Isn't that funny?
That's really funny. And because I agree with you, when I was watching this movie, the credits in the beginning, it's like Donald Sutherland. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Donald Sutherland? Okay. I'm like, and it just goes on and on and on.
Who's that? Jennifer Jason Leigh, Donald Sutherland, Robert DeNiro, Rebecca De Mornay, Scott Glenn. I remember. Yeah. But it was like it's just like name after name after name after name. Really crazy.
I loved so Donald Sutherland. Push comes to shove, he's probably one of my favorite actors.
He is
Ordinary
incredible.
People is one of my favorite movies. I mean, he was awesome in The Omen. He was awesome in Don't Look Now. And I mean, there's a lot of 70s movies I'm referencing, but he's just always so strong. And but I couldn't remember him in this. I didn't remember him.
I forgot his role
too. When I saw his name
too.
on the DVD box, I was like, who's he?
Mm-hmm.
And what I found interesting, so yeah, shallow dives only because we're jumping all
around. Sure, of course, we always jump around. They know.
But 91 is the same year as Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs came out in February. And I'm going to be honest, Donald Sutherland's character is not so dissimilar from, did I say that? From Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Like, it is this person who simply cannot not set things on fire.
Right.
He can't help himself.
Yeah.
It is an illness, it's a sickness,
loves
it's a psychosis.
It's just what gets his heart
And he
going.
could be so close to being free.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you light a fire, or you talk a fire in front of him, his mouth salivates, and he just can't wait to set something else on.
He knows it about himself,
to burn
too.
the world to the ground,
yep.
I think is his words.
And he knows it because when Robert De Niro first approaches him, when he's being, put to the test,
mm-hmm.
if you will, he's like, this isn't fair. And he knows that he can't control it. He knows that this is just having this conversation.
Yeah.
There's no hiding it. There's no hiding it.
Pyromaniac.
Yeah.
So, okay, so jumping all around. So, the article I read, from what I understand, firefighters, it seems, do not consider fire a beast or
mm-hmm.
an animal or a creature. So, when I read that, it made me dislike those moments even more.
Oh.
So,
I had to do that.
I also want to say something else in defense of this movie.
Yes.
I watched this like an hour after my second. It's a lie. I watched this the day after my second vaccine.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little not well,
okay.
a little groggy, a little out of it. But so maybe I was a little hard on this movie in some of my notes
mm-hmm.
that I'm looking at now. But this has nothing to do with the profession of firefighters. Love them all.
Right.
But I'm talking specifically about this movie and that.
Okay.
So I do want to just talk about that beginning. I remember that beginning when he was a little kid.
My gosh.
Kurt Russell is in a dual role, plays the father.
Yes, which is kind of hammy, but
a little. And he, but what's hammier, and I remember at one point I paused the DVD and I said, "Oh my God!" I remember that I thought he caught the hat.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember.
Kurt Russell's character as the father in a flashback. They run up the stairs, him and Scott, or the fire escape and the ladder to put out the fire. And there's an explosion. There's a backdraft.
And his little son, is on a tag along.
And he's on the sidewalk.
He did say to stay in the truck, and he didn't. So again,
and there's a big explosion, and sure enough, the hat in slow motion falls and hits the ground and lands at this kid's feet.
Yes. So yes, that's a bit far-fetched for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this kid just picked it up right away and it's not burning his hands seemed a little bit off also.
Yeah.
That seemed really, I think they could have done that differently.
Yeah.
I do remember sitting in the theater and noticing people taking pictures of him. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they're taking pictures of him. And then, of course, you see that the Time magazine front cover is like framed in the bar, and it, fast forwards to 20 years later. But I remember distinctly saying, I can't believe they're taking a picture of this poor child who just lost his father, who just witnessed the basic destruction of his father, and they're taking pictures of this poor child.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit unrealistic with it. Oh, it happens to just land at his son's feet, and it's not hot at all, even though it was just literally blown from the building.
How about, thank God the kid didn't get hit by a brick. I mean, like, of all the things that blew up...
and I get they have a job to do. I get it. But someone needs to be noticing a child standing mere feet from the building.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that far off.
Shit is flying. There's still stuff falling from the building. Maybe hide the kid. But it was he noticed what was going to happen before it happened. Oh, that's right. He saw the fire pop out of the side of the building.
Right? He sees it and he's like, none of the other thousands of people around, including hundreds of firefighters, noticed that. Mm. So it was a tough beginning for me too.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, whatever. It was a movie moment.
For sure.
Or whatever.
And it sure was. I think through my middle-aged lens, I didn't like that movie moment. Shortly thereafter, Kurt Russell has a great line. He's yelling at... I struggled with this movie. Okay, upon rewatch. And I didn't really understand... Like, I have 3 brothers... Mm-hmm. Various relationships with each of them, but I couldn't really figure out the brother relationship there. It's like, does he want him to grow up and join this crew?
Yeah.
Is it just constantly razzing him? Is it like, or does he think his brother's a loser and doesn't want his brother bringing him down or putting his men at risk?
They could have delved into it a little bit better. Yeah. I mean. They didn't really have a clear understanding as to why they were on the outs so much.
How about this? I understood Billy Baldwin's character a lot more than Kurt Russell's.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to live up to this situation, and he's trying to find his focus, I think they called it. And he's going from one job to another, to another. And I guess I could see, like, the Kurt Russell character, he sort of stepped into the father's role. And he's trying to raise this child, but he's also a child. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just felt like it could have gone a little bit deeper into the relationship between them sort of growing up. Because it wasn't like he was a teenager when his father died.
That's right.
Like, that would have made a little more sense if he was a little bit older and he really did step into that role. Mm-hmm. But he was a child himself. He was probably 10 years old or something. Yeah. So it wouldn't have made sense that the mother would have been like, okay, what is his name? Steven? Billy? What is it? I wrote it down.
William Baldwin Steven. Is Brian. And
so it's not like the mom saying, Steven, it's time for you to be the father of your brother who's 2 years younger than you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't make any sense to me like that. But that's I struggled with that. I did understand where he was coming from, where all of a sudden, so he's his father's son, Stephen, Kurt Russell, Stephen. He's his father's son, and he followed in his footsteps, and he's in the same unit or whatever that he was in. And, he followed the path, and he's successful at it. And I could understand where he was like, oh, now this little shit brother of mine who's been flittering around everywhere, and now he's going to try to be a firefighter again and fail. And I could see that frustration as like an older sibling just being like, go find your own thing. Like that kind of thing. But they didn't really even address that.
No, there are too many things. It seemed like too many things bothered Kurt Russell. Yeah. Or his character. And I just wish, I don't know, I just wish it was more, I wish it was a little more linear. I wish it was just, like, here's my problem with you wanting to do this. Okay?
Right.
Not, you just drive me absolutely crazy, and it's a million things, and you will never, like, because it's like, because Kurt Russell's character just has so many problems with his brother, it's like, well, that's really that's a hard thing a hard perception to fight against, as, say, Brian, I forget their last name, but, McCaffrey.
Aww, we both remembered at the same time. I don't know why it came to me.
But it's like, it's just very heavy, and like, so Kurt Russell has this line towards me, and it's like, you have a bad day here, someone dies! And it's like, oh my god, and it's like, here we go. But at least he says it in a white tank top.
Yes.
Kurt Russell in a white tank top is so Kurt Russell. We have Overboard and this, and it's like late 80s, early 90s. He can wear a white tank top well.
He wears it really well.
Yeah. He's like, he was like born in a white tank top.
And I was thinking about that on the way over here, actually, about how, like, it's not necessarily him in a white tank top, but just how much of a man he is. And we've talked about this before with Patrick Swayze. Yeah. And actually, it was funny, I was thinking about both of them. And I remember having this conversation with you saying, Patrick Swayze in these roles, no one else could play that role, and he does. I think Kurt Russell could play some of the roles that Patrick Swayze has.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, they're so alike. They could have played brothers. Yeah. They could have, they really do look alike, and they have very similar personalities. And I think Kurt Russell is a really good actor.
He is, yeah.
I think he nails any kind of situation that he's in. Mm-hmm. And yet, oh my God,
he was even good in the Santa Claus Christmas Chronicles.
Seriously, he's very good and very underrated. Like, he never gets the accolades that he really deserves, I think. But
I completely agree.
In any case, yes, lots of anger, and I do think that it should have been focused more about the resentment where he had to be a firefighter. Like, it would have made, and I think it's kind of touched on in the movie a bit, but it wouldn't it have been a little bit more interesting if you find out that, like, Kurt Russell never really wanted to be a firefighter?
There you go. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he felt like he had to follow in his father's footsteps and had to take over that role. Yeah. And then he was resentful towards his brother because he didn't have to do anything.
Or towards the rest of his life.
Right?
Like, I mean, imagine
that would have made more sense.
He got himself, Rebecca De Mornay's character and the kids and all that, and then he has gotten himself into a situation, if we go with your narrative, which I think is a good one.
Thank you.
So then suddenly, you can't just stop being a firefighter. Like, if you're Kurt Russell's character. Right. So it's like, now he has created this world that he's not even part of anymore. He's separated from his wife. He lives in a tiny boat that's, and it's like, so now he's in a situation where the only chance of giving his family a decent life that he's not even part of is to put himself in danger every single day. So it's like, that is where that bitterness and, like, that would make so much more sense.
And let's talk about that marriage for just a second and the breakup of the marriage to Rebecca. Her reason...
I'm just using real names, and I really love it.
I don't remember her name either.
Kurt Russell left Rebecca De Mornay, famously in the 90s.
They would have made it cute. Anyway, I really liked her in this too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem I had, so first of all, you're saying that he has to be a firefighter, but being a firefighter is what destroyed his marriage. Yeah. So it's like such a double-edged sword here.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But what was funny about that to me, not funny, ha-ha, but funny, interesting, was she's kicking him out of the house because he's a firefighter, and she doesn't want to, quote, do this to whatever her son name is, right? Yeah. I can't do this to him. So what does that mean?
But wait, is that what she meant? I thought it was because I thought it was like the on again, off again, like him just showing up or him spending the night or him.
Yes, it was two separate conversations. Yes, she said that. Yes, I understand that conversation that she had.
She said, because you're right. She says the chances that you take. I don't think it was. I don't. So, oh God, I'm defending the movie I didn't like.
No,
so it's like
okay.
No, it's like
that's my plan.
I think what it was is like, it's not that he's a firefighter. It's that he's a dangerous firefighter, and this is shown throughout this movie, where it's like. Like Scott Glenn's character says, no, don't do that. And Kurt Russell's like, we're doing that.
And he just jumps in.
And someone else will go, and the black firefighter is like, no, we can't do that. And he's like, Kurt Russell's like, dig in. And the black guy doesn't. He goes, digging, goddammit! It's like, calm down, Kurt.
But my point is, yes, it's the chances that we take and the danger.
Yeah,
it's the danger of it or whatever, right? But how is kicking him out of the house changing any of that for the son? The situation is still the same regardless of where Kurt Russell lives. It's still the same.
Yeah, so some weak writing.
It didn't make any sense.
She could have said, I can't handle it. Like, what if she said, I can't handle it. You come home and you talk about how you jumped out of a window. Like, it's like, I mean, give us, like, maybe we may have needed some more tell in that dialogue.
And I find it hard to believe that she didn't know that he was a firefighter and that he had that same personality when she was with him to begin. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. It wasn't like all of a sudden he's starting to do these things.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
I mean, and also it's like, he's a very physical guy, and I think, like, I can't imagine she never witnessed him in a fist fight before.
No, I'm sure she enjoyed that physical aspect of him for quite a long time before she threw him out of the house. But yeah, so that, yes, I agree that the weak storylines, the story writing. The other part I really hated and I really wish just disappeared was the Jennifer Jason Leigh character.
Oh.
She was horrible.
Snooze.
It was horrible. And what the fuck is she wearing? And what is she doing with her hair? She looks like someone took her out of a cartoon and, like, plopped her out and digitally implanted her into this movie. She has the weirdest hairstyles throughout the whole movie. She's like a 50s Rona Barrett kind of reporter, like roving reporter. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. They touch on the fact that they used to be boyfriend girlfriend. Who cares? Who cares? And then they somehow get together for no reason. Yeah. Again, he did not do anything different. Yeah. And all of a sudden she's like, "Okay, fine, let's have sex on top of a fire truck, and I love you." Like it's. Such a terrible character, such a stupid storyline. It was like not needed at all. Not at all. And I'm like looking at this movie like if she was not in it, everything else could have happened. He could have been approached by the politician. He could have broken in and got some sort of, he had access to everything. He could have found the files he was looking for. Like it would have easily been written out.
That's right.
That character, terrible.
It's so, again, I will say the word. It's like it's underwritten. That character, she is so underwritten, and I agree. Like there's like a weird anachronistic thing. Like she doesn't belong in this time.
She doesn't.
Like I agree. Her outfits were a little like okay.
She was playing dress up or something.
Yeah. To the point where I consistently thought they were having sex. Her and the alderman, because
she had that weird,
that weird kind of, like she played like a
a
sex kitten kind of thing, and also when she goes into his office in that random scene, I honestly thought he was dead. I forgot how that ended, but she walks in there like a little too coy, and I'm like, is she
like I own this place?
That's a little weird.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be, and it didn't match up to, this is my first job, I can't get fired from this job. Like, it's not even like she had the experience with him for a while, but she's acting like she is so comfortable. Like, it's very, very strange.
And Single White Female. That was after this.
I think that also 91?
Was that 91 or 92?
I feel like every time you ask me what a year of a movie is, I'm like 1991. Like, I don't know why the 91 always pops up.
But to go from that to, this to Single White Female, I mean, she's so good in that.
Which we also revisited quite a while ago.
Yeah, we did.
Listen if you haven't.
Oh, God, but I'll tell you, it just
92.
Oh, there you go. So it was the year after, yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Just underwritten, not much there. And I think, and again,
she annoyed me. So
listen, and here's a note for any filmmakers out there. If you're doing a love scene, don't super cut it with anything else. Don't cut it in between another scene. It reminded me of Mermaids when they're having sex and you see Christina Ricci drowning.
That was horrible.
And then same thing here. You have the scene of them making...
You need to be in a movement. Yeah, you need to be in the movement.
Yeah. Like, just don't cut away from it because because what exactly are you comparing here? Like, it's happening. We don't have that bad of memory with what's going on. And they cut up the love scene with them like putting out a fire, and it just felt like, why? Like, focus on
Are you
one.
trying to put out, like, it didn't even like match up.
But
I will say, so this copy of Backdraft, it was a little sticky at times, and it made me so mad, Ryan. Because again, I was on like a time crunch, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So it did skip around, not a lot. I didn't lose a lot, but there was a couple things that I missed, and one of them was the sex on the fire truck thing. But it was fine. I had remembered it from before anyway, and I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
My thoughts about Jennifer Jason Leigh in this movie, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. They didn't really show anything at all.
No.
So let's get into the fire.
I will say, can I just say one more thing about the friend, William Baldwin's friend? That was another one that just really annoyed me.
No.
I know, it's hard to believe. Could he be more of a characteristic of, like, this,
the one
like,
who dies?
The one who dies. Like, you could have predicted that from the very minute you see him.
Good.
He's literally jumping up and down. Jumping, we got unit, whatever.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Jumping up and down, screaming. I was like, nobody acts that way in real life.
No.
Nobody. I wanted to just throw fire at him at that moment.
Like, the history of firefighters, I don't think they get their route or whatever and they jump up and down.
It's how embarrassing for him.
I was a mailman for 4 days.
You were a mailman for 4 days?
It was called casual carrier. My grandfather was a mailman.
I never, ever knew that about you.
You would get your route. And even...
Did you jump up and down when you
No, that's my point. You would just see your routes. And then even the ones that got the good routes, because you're all making the same amount of money, like at least the casual carrier. So that if you got like a nice neighborhood, and I will say that, like a nice neighborhood.
Sure.
No dogs, like, crazy people that run up to your truck. Like, yeah, a nice neighborhood.
I can't believe this is a part of your life I never knew about.
I mean, I was very young. But it was, it was just one summer. But, 4 times. But the training was longer than the amount of time I did. It did not go well. But, yes, but my point is, even that, where you're like, oh my gosh, I have an amazing neighborhood. No one's, it's like, oh, okay. Because you know why? That's your job.
Yeah.
And, like, even if you're, like, this brand new recruit, like, do you really? What did he do? Drive around neighbors and be like, yeah, I'd love to put a fire out in this neighborhood. What the fuck? It makes no sense. Because if you guess what? If you like the neighborhood, you don't want to see it burn.
Well, and don't you want to be a little more, like, I don't know, manly and tough?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Wouldn't that embarrass you to be, like, going into, like, this new, I keep saying unit, what is it? Precinct? No, it's not a precinct. Station. I'll call station. Sure. You go into the station, don't you want to, like, make a good, like, first impression, like, you're a man in the middle of these manly firefighters? Yeah. You're not going to, like, skip in and be like, yay!
Or probably dance around in the shower with other men.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was a scene.
That was a scene.
It's a better shower scene than Porky's.
Oh my God. I'm going to be honest though, if I were to judge the butt, I don't know if I would have guessed that was William Baldwin's butt.
Oh, yeah, me either.
It was older.
It
was
did.
Like an older butt. I don't know why.
I expected it to be a little thinner or something. I don't know what it was. Like his, yeah.
I don't know. It was a butt. It wasn't a butt double though. I feel like it was his butt. It just didn't look like the butt.
Oh, I'm sure it was his butt. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It looked like a real, I mean, it didn't look like the butt he would have.
I was surprised when he turned around.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I was like, oh, was that yours?
Watch Backdraft, look at the butts. Let us know if you think that's William Baldwin's butt.
Yes.
All right, so the fire. So I struggled. This to me felt like Aliens, like the breathing of the fire, the woo,
the sounds,
and also no smoke. Like, I found it interesting that, like, anytime they had to talk to each other, there was no smoke. So you could kind of see where everyone was. I know that from a little bit of reading after this movie, like, that's the hardest part, is that you can't see in these fires. Yeah. In this movie, it doesn't seem to be a problem. Right.
Well, and I kind of get it.
Oh, for sure.
You have to be able to see. What was more shocking to me was the inconsistency of wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like many times Kurt Russell's character did not have a mask on. And I'm like, what are you doing? How is he
breathing?
Not having a mask on? Like, it felt really, really off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that took me away from the fire, because you how are you going to walk in there without a mask on and not be burned to a crisp just from the heat?
Yeah.
And I remember him saying something. Didn't he yell at his brother for not wearing a mask at one point?
Oh, maybe.
Didn't he? Like, put your mask on.
Yeah.
And then he's not wearing a mask? It seemed very strange to me that was overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way they could have done that.
I'm sure it's adrenaline, but you don't know the difference between a mannequin's body and a human body.
How about the weight?
The weight. If you're carrying...
That was stupid.
I mean, also, too, is like, did he ever wonder, like, gee, how come her arm moves in one straight piece? Like,
it was
or her
really,
leg
really
isn't
stupid.
Bending in my arms.
It should have been something else. It should have been... Even a child would have been more realistic, because they're going to be lighter or something. But it didn't... I didn't buy it, even back then, for 1 minute, that he was saving a person.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, I don't necessarily... and that got weirder and weirder, because, like, they're all laughing because it was a mannequin, not a woman, but then a woman is saved by someone else, but they spin the narrative because is it Time Magazine or Life Magazine?
One of them.
Yeah. Like, they want to do this like, through line on the story where, like, the kid that with the helmet is now the firefighter that saved the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, basically just lie about this whole story. Like,
right.
So there's a lot of fat in this movie.
Yes.
That it just didn't need to be there.
Right, and I think it would have been a better movie without it. But it would have been shorter, for one thing, and you could have focused a little bit more on the fire.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like they had a good story, and they're like, oh no, we have to add more to it because people aren't going to be interested enough.
It was weird. It's a weighty movie.
Yeah.
I will say, I think my favorite Kurt Russell moment in this whole thing is, and he has a lot of heavy lines in this, but this is a good moment. It's the mannequin thing, and Brian runs off he hears the woman crying, and he saves the mannequin by accident instead of the woman. And later on, Kurt Russell, because he can't find his brother, and he's like, I told you to stay right the fuck behind me, Brian. And his voice cracks like twice, and he's crying. That is really good acting.
He is so... I'll tell you right now, I think he is an amazing actor in this movie. I really, truly bought... I mean, and again, you're saying, like, the lines, some of them are really not good. And the scenes and the stories are really weak at times. But he was in this role. He was 100% in it. No matter... He could have said, I'm buying eggs at the store. And I would have bought that that he was buying eggs at the store. He is such a good actor, whether he's being vulnerable or angry or frustrated and hurt. Like when he thought that his brother was, he was accusing, when his brother thought it was him that was doing the fires. Yeah. That was like, oh, you felt bad. Mm-hmm. You really felt bad. And I don't know. I just think I was really impressed with him throughout this whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he delivered even when the dialogue was not great.
Yes,
I do. So I'm going to be honest. I don't have a lot of I have a lot of notes, but a lot of them aren't very positive now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you have. What are some things you like? Because I don't want to just get all negative. But
so I haven't even really looked at my notes that much, but I have a few. So you said before about the brotherhood. Did you feel better about it now? Because I have a note that said I felt like the brotherhood seemed authentic in terms of them having each other's back and just, because, I mean, I don't know many firefighters. I've known a few in my time.
Christina,
my brother-in-law...
Really quick, Christina, the visual was Christina doing a Blanche Devereaux hair toss.
I think they could hear that in my voice. My brother-in-law was a firefighter, but he was already a retired firefighter by the time I was kind of in the family, so I didn't really know that aspect of him. But I knew enough about it that they live together. They really have to be for each other 100%. Like, they're risking their lives for each other.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was pretty authentic. Did you feel like any differently about it now?
As a middle-aged person, yes, I thought it was much more authentic. And in fact, I will say as a positive, I got the dynamics between like the Robert De Niro department with the other firefighters, with the other side of the department, and the politics, and like that swirl of people. I liked the dance scene with the fist fights and all that craziness, and how the guys were there for him and stopping him when they needed to. So it did feel very authentic to me. I believe that these guys were all buds and coworkers and all of that. So
I didn't love that scene, mostly because I felt like it was a little bit unbelievable that she would have brought a date to this thing.
Oh God! To be clear, I like the fighting and
fighting of it.
That guy is a moron. You already know he is. He wants to kill you. Mm-hmm. So what better icebreaker than to make fun of his brother? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, what, are you an idiot? Yes.
And I felt like that scene was awfully long. Did you find it long?
A little bit. I think I also questioned Rebecca De Mornay's judgment with that guy. Just the guy, anyway. I forget almost like bringing him to that place, but like to even be on a date with him in the first place.
One of my favorite scenes is it's somewhat famous, I think, when they're running up the stairs and he's like, "Run, damn you," and then they make fun of that at the end. I'm like, that is awesome. That is a fun moment.
Yeah.
I think that one moment really helped me to feel that they actually did like each other. Like, they did love each other as brothers. That one moment, if that wasn't there, I don't know if I would have cared if they made up.
Yeah. But even that scene ends in a fight.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes,
but I did like that. I thought that was funny because it does tie into Kurt Russell, some of Kurt Russell's ham-handedness.
Being like, oh my God, enough, lighten up.
Lighten up. Because he asked them once, run damn you. What's the other one? Did I write another one down? That's my brother. God damn it.
God, that's the worst.
Also too, but then Brian, he's like, Steve. So Christina, I laughed out loud. Now, I remind everyone, I was like knocked on my ass by that second vaccine, but I laughed out loud when he's like, Steven! And they cut slow motion to Steven, Kurt Russell, walking out with the kids in his arms, out of the fire, running.
It's just bad. Yeah.
Slow motion. I'm like, give me a fucking
And that's
break.
what takes you away from the real moments. That's what, like...
Well, you're exactly... Here, you know what, Christine, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. You're exactly right.
Thank you.
I'm interrupting you to tell you how right you are.
You can interrupt me to say that anytime you want.
Because I agree. You just said something I'm going to forget. If I don't interrupt you, I'm going to forget it, but continue.
That's all I was going to say.
Oh.
Yeah. But it does. It just takes you away from the real moments.
It is what?
Because it's a movie moment.
Which is why that montage scene, that's a huge note right at the top.
Yep.
Then the montage of firefighter training is so 90s and so movie. It's so bad. It's like...
the only thing missing was like trying on the coats, like a fashion show. Like, that's the only thing missing from that montage. It's like a Pretty Woman scene.
But the funny thing is that like they don't know when to stop with that montage because it's like this music like din, 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 din. They're helping chickens, but then they're actually cutting it with footage of them helping accident victims, blood gushing out of some guy's head, like the firefighter training, helping the thing. Like, it's a total 90s montage, but it doesn't work. No. Because what you're going for is the reality of being a firefighter.
Right.
So exactly to your point, Christina, when this feels like a movie, it loses its point.
Right. And it's like you have to decide, like, is it a movie about being a firefighter, or is it a movie about training to be a firefighter? Mm-hmm. Is it like an academy movie, or is it a firefighter? You've graduated from the academy and now you're a firefighter. Like, they go back and forth on that stuff, and it doesn't...
I'm going to say something profound. Get ready, everyone.
I'm ready.
Is it a firefighter movie or a movie about firefighters? See?
Bum, bum.
That's... Anyone out there writing a script, making a movie? That's what you have to think about this.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing? Because this, to me, it's a firefighter movie. So you're going to have the montage, you're going to have the big moments, you're going to have the fake nonsense, you're going to have the ridiculous characters, the evil villains, because it's a movie. But I don't know if that's what Ron Howard wanted to make when you dive a little deep into this movie.
I don't know if he knew what he wanted to make. I would love to see, like, that first idea.
You wouldn't even watch his intro, Christina.
I wanted to. I did want to, but I was on a time crunch. Think about that, though. Take away all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Take away Jennifer Jason Leigh, please.
Thank you, please.
Take away all the training. Take away... You could even take away, like, the retirement party and a lot of this background stuff, the movie moments, and then focus on the job. You can have a little bit of that animosity between Kurt Russell and William Baldwin. I don't think that needed to be the focal point. But have a little bit of that, okay? But then if it focused on more of that investigation of the arsonist, I think it would have been a stronger movie.
Yeah.
Because it would focus more on that. Because I honestly I was intrigued by that part of it more. I didn't really care about the relationships too much. But I liked the Robert De Niro character, and I'm guessing you didn't because you said the only thing left is negatives for you.
Yeah, it was. I thought he was very good in this, but I didn't. So I liked the mystery of it. I liked who is killing these people and why.
What is happening? And I liked that whole that the fire, how it goes under the door and back, like the backdraft.
Sure.
Like that's what it is. I liked that. It was it was interesting to me because it's something I didn't know about. And I liked the Robert De Niro character because it took you out of the fire, but it was still relevant.
Yeah.
And it was, you knew that he was a firefighter. You knew what he was talking about. And you just got on that other side of it. And I liked the Donald Sutherland character. I thought he was incredible. But it keeps you in that moment. It's all relative to what's going on within the fires.
Robert De Niro also, though, suffers from some dialogue.
Yes. A lot of the dialogue.
There are so many good actors in this, and I'm just shocked that none of them, or maybe they did, that none of them said, I can't say this with a straight face. Robert De Niro, he is looking at the fire, and he says, come on, tell me where you came from. Then he says, he's talking to, I believe, Brian, and he says, it breathes, it eats, it hates. Like, what? Come on. Like, we can take it down a notch.
Yeah, it didn't need to have that it hates. I think the breathing and the eating, maybe, you know what? It would have been, think about this one.
Oh.
It breathes.
Yeah.
It eats.
Yeah.
It wants to live.
Oh my God. I just got goosebumps.
Did you get
Christina,
I know.
You are so good.
Thank you so much. That would have been so much more effective because, and I think that Ron Howard is suffering from trying too hard to make the fire a character. And I liked that it was a character, but trying too hard.
To make it a movie.
Like, it doesn't have
make it a
to
movie character.
Right, and not every character in the movie has to talk about how the fire is a character.
Oh my God.
Maybe just that scene with Robert De Niro, and maybe there's one other, maybe with the Donald Sutherland talking about how it stares at you. And that would have been great because it's saying, oh, it looks at you, it stares at you, and all that. And you think that he's crazy, but then you realize maybe he's not so crazy, and maybe it does really look at you and makes you kind of hypnotized. I don't know. You don't need every character to
That is correct, because he does say, did the fire look at you? And he calls it like the animal and all that. And it makes sense for Donald Sutherland's character to talk this way, because he's crazy. So that makes sense. But when you have another character, I think it's Kurt Russell's character, say, don't take that kind of shit from it. Don't let the fire know you're scared. I'm like, that's dogs. That's stupid. Like, I mean, that's like, don't let the dog know you're scared. I mean, like, it's just weird.
They're trying too hard to make it.
I do, Christina, though, I do have to disagree a little bit with, like, the smoke and the backdraft stuff. Just because I think when you get to the fire part of it, it felt like Poltergeist to me. It felt like Aliens to me. It's like, it's too monstrous and just big. And I think the way it's shot and stuff, it's like, it's cool looking. Mm-hmm. But, and I'm sure a lot of it's real. But it's like, I think for me, it's like between the sound effects and the music, it felt like it felt a little too movie-ish.
So if you had, because there's a lot of fire in this movie. A lot of fire. And it was a bit much. And I think that's why I really appreciated the Robert De Niro aspect of it, because it took you away from the fire for a minute and just like, okay, let me breathe. But if you think about it, imagine a big fire scene at the beginning, maybe a scene in the middle with, them, showing that William Baldwin doesn't know what he's doing. And then the big finale, big fire. And then the rest of it is all more focused on the investigation and what's happening and who's doing it and the interviews and the DeNiro and the Sutherland. And I feel like that would have been a little more solid and streamlined.
Yeah, I think for me, I could go back to...
We would have known what kind of movie it was.
Sure. I gotta go back to what you said earlier, though. I like that, where you said if it was just about the mystery and the murder, the deaths and the explosions and all that. Because then it makes sense to see so many fires. Like, it's like, holy shit. Because then I think you feel that stress of like, okay, we have to stop this person because we're in fires every single day right now.
Right.
And people are dying. This kid's got his face burnt off and like all this kind of stuff. And someone died. And so it's like, I actually think that would connect the fire more to the story if it focused only on the death. So meaning, have 5 fires. As long as they're pushing the story forward. And I think most of these fires are. I think it's just all the other stuff. It's the relationships. It's the bombastic dialogue. It's just like, whatever.
What is this movie about? Is it about the relationship between brothers? Is it about the politics? Is it like, it doesn't make for a good movie.
Also, I think one fire was in a warehouse. I don't quite know.
There's a lot of fires in this movie.
Well, yeah, I guess my point is, like, some of them, these places were very big and empty. And I wonder if they had to put their lives into such danger for an empty building.
Right.
That was a thought that went up in my mind. It's like, if you know the building's empty, I think one was a chemical facility.
Right.
But I think some of them were like, if you know no one's in there, like, do you really have to, like, go into, like, the belly of the beast every fucking time if you know no one else is in there or whatever? But I could be wrong about this. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I did write an abandoned warehouse, ? Maybe just let it burn. Like, don't risk your lives, you guys. No one's even in there.
Well, maybe that's why Rebecca kicked Kurt out.
There you go, because he's just so foolhardy. We get an amazing... No! In the crazy ass scene, that chemical plant, where he falls and Scott Glenn like bangs into the barrels and Kurt Russell falls on another platform. I remembered his torn open stomach like it was yesterday.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I could have drawn on pen and paper, before I even on the rewatch. That's how vivid that's a good job. I mean, there's no way you look at that and you're like, well, he's dead. I mean, you don't come back from that kind of gaping hole in your stomach,
right?
But I thought the makeup in that stuff
was really
done
good,
really well.
Speaking of that, you're talking about the final fight scene, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Here's a thought. You find out that this family friend is the one who's starting all the fires, and you want to tell your brother. Do you think maybe you want to wait until after they finished fighting the fire? Maybe we could have had a drink sometime after. Why would you put this, when your job is to try to put this fire out, it's serious, everything, right? Like, why would you pick that moment in the middle of a fire to reveal this? It's so dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Yeah.
But I am glad that they kind of made up, and I'm glad the relationship between Scott Glenn and Kurt Russell, that was pretty good. I thought it wasn't just like, how could you do this? I hate you. It was more like they had sort of a conversation about it. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it should have been done elsewhere.
I liked, and Scott Glenn's great. I think I liked, that whole relationship, even after he was exposed and all of that.
Yeah. Do you want to take a little break, or do you feel like it's too soon to take a break?
No, it's definitely not too soon for me.
Let's take a quick little break,
cool.
And I got to look at the rest of my notes here. All right, we'll be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we're back, talking about Backdraft 1991 with Kurt Russell, who will forever look good in a white tank top. I'm going to use that image later. Someone asked me recently, like, who's on my list? Like the list.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I think Kurt Russell would be on that list.
Now.
Yeah.
So he's like, how old is he?
Well, wait. You're right. No, I haven't seen him lately. Maybe
that's
not. You're right.
Because here's the thing.
It
wasn't us having this conversation because I was stumped. I think Jen, Julie, and Carrie, we were talking, and I think we're like, who's on your list? Who's on your list? And I'm like, is it like now? Or this like, I mean, it's already a dream sequence.
Well, obviously.
You know what I mean? But it's no. But like,
if I bump into Mark Wahlberg on the street, it's no longer a dream.
Oh my God!
Well,
for me, it's like Hugh
Matt
Jackman.
Matt understands.
Like for me, it's Hugh Jackman, but then it's like I'm kind of like stumped. Like it's like I'm trying to think of like who? Oh,
yeah,
Jamie Dornan. No, Jamie Dornan.
Who's that?
Oh my God! From although he's not. I don't. Okay, he's from 50. Probably most famously known for 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't seen those movies. I couldn't even get through the first one.
Yeah.
But he's in a TV show called The Fall. And he was, and it's amazing. He's amazing in that. And he was really, really funny in Barb and Star. Go to Vista Lamar.
Oh, what was he in there?
He was the guy. The guy who's climbing the palm tree. He's like the boyfriend.
Oh my God.
That's Jamie Dornan.
I didn't know he was the same guy.
He also was in a movie called...
Wait, he was in something else.
Wild Mountain Thyme with Emily Blunt. And the movie was
my God. And that's
ripped apart.
So you saw that movie, Barb and Star?
Oh, yeah. I watched it on my birthday, actually.
Yeah, I loved it.
I loved it.
I bought it.
To own?
Yeah.
How much was it? Can I ask?
It's like $20. It was the same to rent it, but I rented it, and then we bought it when it came out.
Oh my God! Because we rented it. We rented it for $20, and it was just what I needed.
That movie.
Just what I needed.
It's such a fun movie, and Emily watched it and Emily loves it. I'm not a huge Kristen Wiig fan anyway. Mm-hmm. There's not much she can do that I wouldn't like, but as long as it was comedic, probably. But what was really funny about that is it was like a week after we had seen that movie, we went to Dollar Tree, and there was this woman in front of us.
Trish. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. No, that would have been great. No, she was basically the Barbara Star, and she was like literally yelling across the store to her friend.
Oh, my God.
And they're going back and forth, and they're like, do I have this at home? And yeah, I think we do. I think we have it at home. And then she's like, oh, guess how much it is? It's $17. 17, I guessed 17, and it came up as 17. And they're like literally having this conversation like back and forth across the store. And I leaned into Emily, and I'm like, Emily, it's Barb and Star. And she's like, oh my God, it really is. It was so freaking funny. But yeah, I thought that was a really funny movie.
So, yes, I loved it. I thought he was so funny in that. He was so good in that.
I had no idea he was from 50 Shades. It's so funny.
Yeah, and The Fall, which is so good. It's him and Gillian Anderson. But I know that Emily likes Emily Blunt. And so Wild Mountain Thyme is on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
And it's her and Jamie Dornan. It is it has to be PG, if not G.
Is it like an adventure?
Is this a little love story?
Just a little love story, yeah.
It's Ireland. It got shitty reviews because the accents are crazy.
Oh,
Christopher Walken with the Irish accent. It's just this like small farm sort of world that it gets interrupted by the arrival of John Hamm.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Okay.
So you should. It's I don't know. I didn't hate it. Everyone hated. I mean, critics hated it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I heard a whole thing about the accents before it even came out, and I'm just remembering it now. Yeah. It's not even something.
The movie has bigger problems than accents, but it's like it's enjoyable.
She might like it.
They're likable. Like the cast is super likable. I watched every minute. I was entertained. I didn't think it was bad. So Hugh Jackman. He was a Grant. Hugh Jackman and Jimmy Dornan and I can't even think the third.
Yeah, I always Mark has always been on my list. Mark Wahlberg, and maybe not Kurt Russell now.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen him in a while. I'm not saying no, but not saying no. But Gail Harold was always on my list.
Ferris Folk.
But until you met him, and he was
a little drunk and sloppy.
So since that story, I guess if he was sober. But yeah, he's still on my list. And then, I can't remember his name, but from True Blood.
Oh yeah, sure. He was also in Big Little Lies.
Yeah. Exactly. I forget his name. He does it for me.
And our middle-aged lens is showing.
So, anyways, what are we talking about now? Oh yeah, Backdraft.
We
should talk about Backdraft again.
My final note.
Yes.
My final note is I don't know who said this, but it was like, let's move this thing. Come on. Don't you die on me. You hear me? Is that Brian talking to Steven when Steven's dying? Oh, yeah. They're in the ambulance. It's like, let's move this thing. So he is...
When he's yelling at the ambulance driver, don't you die on me. Yeah. So that's a good note or a bad note? Because I thought it was a little over the top.
Over the top.
Yeah. I did like how the story pointed everything to Steven. And I remember thinking it might be Steven. Mm-hmm. And I felt like they did that well by placing that flammable liquid on his boat early on. And it makes sense. You know that he knows fire. You know that his life is falling apart. You know that he has the means. He has the material.
He also, the way I was thinking about that too is like, what better way to blame the budget cuts than to create more fires that you can't handle. So therefore resulting in more disasters and tragedies and deaths. And you can always spin around and say, well, it's budget cuts. So you're trying to get, your team back, you're trying to get help, so what better way than to set more fires?
So it made sense, and I thought they did that part really well. Really well. Scott Glenn looking down from the window. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That part? Chills.
Creepy, yeah.
Chills.
Yeah.
And the fire truck car accident, totally unnecessary. It's complete chaos. They're on fire.
Does it tip over?
It tips over. It literally tips over. Go into a fire. Yeah. I don't know why they had to do that. Yeah. What a waste. Stupid. Not necessary. Not necessary. And as a final note, I did feel like the funeral was so sad.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say long.
Oh, it was long. It was a long ending. Yeah. There's no question there.
Yeah.
But it was really, really sad. And I actually, I had a tear in my eye.
Yeah, Rebecca De Mornay is good in that. She has very little to do in this movie, but she's very good at what she has to do.
You get that she did love him, and she just had to just walk away. Like, it wasn't, she didn't walk away because she didn't love him.
Right.
It was really, I thought that was a very powerful ending with the funeral. I am sad that he died. I don't know why they had to kill him, but
I don't think that was necessary either. And I think, but that whole "that's my brother, god damn it," that got a laugh from me.
That was ridiculous. And that whole thing, that whole scene had so many moments.
And it shouldn't have been. It should have been a heart bursting moment, right? I mean, it should have been a really nice moment instead of a laugh.
It ended up being, And the other thing that was really ridiculous was when there's all those fires going on, he jumps across, like, the big open space to shut the gas off. Like, he jumps and, like, he happens to Like, he's like a superhero at this point.
Yeah.
Jumps, grabs the gas, shuts it off. And I'm like, I wrote, jumping across to shut the gas off, no. So, but anyway, so did you like it better or worse or the same? Like, what were your thoughts about this?
I think worse. I'm going to be honest, maybe a little worse, because here's my thought is this. Like, if you have the sort of brief for this project, if you will. So, like, Ron Howard says, guys, I want to make a movie. Like, what is your objective? I want to make a movie about firefighters. What about them? That it's a really dangerous job. Period. Not... What happened? Is it like, I want to show how it's a dangerous job, how it affects their personal lives, like what would happen if someone was setting fires on purpose, how they handle arsonists. It's like, you can't have this,
right.
How do their old relationships react to that? Like, no. It should be about one, maybe two things. And if they had done that with this movie, it would have been really, really something. And it just tried to do too much, and I liked it less.
Okay. I also liked it a little less.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, I think, when watching these movies now, I feel like I'm getting good at being able to remove things from my mind when I'm watching this. I think just from being on this podcast for over a year now, almost 2 years, I'm able to watch a movie and overlook some things and just in my mind kind of rewriting the movie, like getting rid of the Jennifer Jason Leigh. And so when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I like that better now. And da-da-da-da, I like that better now. That kind of thing. So I'm getting better at doing that. But even with doing that, I didn't like it as much. And I didn't feel like... I don't know. I didn't leave the movie feeling the same way that I did when I first saw it. I was really impressed the first time I saw it.
Well, and you started in a movie theater.
Yeah, I started in a movie theater. That makes a difference.
TV, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely makes a difference. And I saw it in 2 parts, too. I didn't watch it all the way through. So that makes a difference. But, I mean, just too much bad writing and silly moments and movie moments.
Just tried to do too much, that's all.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, yeah. And I think anytime I tried to be a movie, it failed.
Yes.
Just in my opinion. I know a lot of people like this movie. Questions. Oh, really quick. It was made for $40 million. It made $152 million.
Wow.
So that's, that was a big movie.
Pretty successful.
Oh, shit. I meant to check when Dick Tracy came out. I feel like Dick Tracy's 90. So I think I was wrong about that.
Really?
But it was an event. It certainly was an event movie. And I don't know why it reminded me of Dick Tracy. Like the hoopla about it.
Probably just the Jennifer Jason Leigh.
No, but I feel like... Well, because it's dated. Christina...
Yes.
I have an FMK.
Okay, let's hear it.
Rock your world.
Let's hear it. It was 1990 anyway. Dick Tracy. So you said
it was 90. Yeah. So this is 91. So all right. Steven. Brian. And then Robert De Niro's character. I don't remember his name.
I forget his name too. It was like Shadow. They called him Shadow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So basically, Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, Robert De Niro.
Okay, easy.
Okay.
No, the characters. Are they the characters? Oh, maybe not as much.
And they're all alive.
Well, I think there's laws against marrying a corpse. Or even effing a corpse. God, now that makes it more difficult. Alright, I will...
Fine.
I'm gonna F... No, it's okay. I'm gonna F... Steven was Kurt Russell's character.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna F him. I'm going to marry Robert De Niro's character, which I think is going to be very surprising to you. And I'm going to kill Billy Baldwin.
100% wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I really thought you were going to F Brian, marry Steven, and kill Robert De Niro.
I almost did that. So that's not 100% wrong, because I have the same F.
Oh.
Right?
No, you're killing Brian, you said.
Oh, that's right. I did say that. Yes, that's right. Sorry.
I think, right?
No, yeah, you're right. No, and because if it's the way Steven's been and being completely crazy, then yeah, I'd be a nervous wreck being married to him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind him in the sack. And Robert De Niro seems like a stand-up guy. Like, I think he would be kind of cool to hang out with.
I have some anger issues, though. He's always yelling.
Yeah, what's his job? He probably
your job is to yell.
His job is to yell. So I have a question for you. It's kind
Let's
of, it's not really
hear
a match
it.
game. It's kind of like just a regular question.
Okay.
So, Brian, you're
Yes.
forced to be one of the following.
Ooh.
What are you going to choose? It's for a career.
Oh my God.
A firefighter,
Okay.
a police officer,
Mm-hmm.
or a U.S. Marine.
God.
And these firefighter and police officer is like in the heart of Chicago.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Whew.
I know, it's tough.
Oh God, I don't even know. Marine?
A U.S. Marine.
I
That's right.
think because.
Oh, that's your guess? I thought you were asking.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's my guess. Police, I wouldn't want to carry a gun. That would like freak me out. Fire department, I think no, because I just don't like. I mean, it just seems like the physically grueling, and like and I'm sure Marine is too. But it's like the carrying like the hose and the gear, and I don't know, and just the fire, and I don't like heat.
That's true. You don't like heat.
And I don't really know what's entailed with the Marine. I mean, obviously
Just
getting into crazy
people.
shape. Are you talking like a Navy SEAL?
I'm talking about a U.S. Marine. It's a different thing.
All right. I'm going to say Marine, even though I don't know exactly what they do.
You'll probably have to be like in Afghanistan, like it's really, really hot.
Oh,
In the
God,
middle of
I
the
don't. These are
desert.
the worst.
I know. That's what makes it fun, is making it hard.
Well, if it's between, oh God, then I would almost incline to say police officer. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. It's these are impossible.
in this climate,
These are impossible. I know. Well, these are impossible decisions.
they are an impossible decision.
None of them. My hat is off to all of them. None of these are even remotely seem easy.
They're hard
So,
jobs. They're all hard
they're
jobs. That's why I chose
impossible.
them.
Yeah, I could not do any of them.
Or I forgot to put a fourth one. Or a talk show host. The hero in my eyes. No, I'm just kidding.
Good
So
times.
I would have guessed for you, I was going to guess a firefighter. And the reason is because I know you hate the heat and all that kind of stuff, but I would have felt like you would have taken that positive, like, well, it's a lot of working out, so you'd be able to, like, work out and be in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I also feel like there's a lot of downtime, like in the station, where you just kind of like hanging around, like kind of watching TV and cooking, and there's a lot of that downtime.
Oh, but you know what's so
But
hard?
then when
though,
you're in the fire, it would be tough.
the part about the firefighter that isn't so appealing is because they do rely on each other so much, and like I never really played team sports or anything like that.
Oh, right.
So I
right.
feel like the anxiety of being the worst in the team would haunt my every thought.
But
that's the truth.
Like a Marine is the same way.
I never want to be true. I never want to be like the person like holding the ball. You know what I mean? I never want to be that guy. It's like keep it moving, get it away from me.
I'll be the cheerleader on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's just tough. None of those are rough.
Sorry, that was a hard question.
And that was Backdraft. And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.